Welcome back to the Jasmine Star Show. And for those of you who are longtime listeners, you can attest that I love talking about determination, perseverance, patience, resilience, and all of these other obvious strengths that make for really good business owners. But I'm going to be switching it up today. I want to discuss some underrated qualities that make up some of the best entrepreneurs. Underrated qualities. Okay. As a side note, the only thing I love more than underrated qualities is being underrated. It is my most favorite thing ever. Like, in the whole wide world. I love when people underestimate me and then I can be like, kapow! I'm gonna be like up in their face with an unexpected firework in your pocket moment. Let's go. Like, I love that. Still to this day, one of my all-time favorite underrated moments was years ago. Okay, so I'm spending Christmas Eve with my in-laws. Now, this is before I'm married, but I'm still trying to play like the I'm a really great girlfriend game. Okay, so at the time, we were dating and his family said, you should come over for Christmas celebrations. And so this is the first time I'm with his family and we do tamales. And not only do we make them, we eat them. His sisters have like a cookie decoration station. And then his mom got everybody, and still to this day does this, gets everybody matching pajamas. And then we stay up till midnight on Christmas Eve playing games. And then at midnight is when we start opening gifts. But here's a weird thing, I shouldn't say it's weird. When you talk about your in-laws, you should say it's weird. It was just, how shall I say this? New for me. So in my family, we celebrated Christmas on Christmas morning. That's when we open gifts. But my husband's family comes from opening gifts on Christmas Eve / Christmas morning. But they play games up until midnight. And then once the clock strikes midnight, they all give each other hugs. Now, I know that is like a really sweet thing, but just imagine like my surprise, like we're all playing games and literally like the chime goes off, ding, it's midnight. They're like, Merry Christmas. And then everybody one by one just starts hugging each other. And like, listen, I like hugs. I come from an affectionate family. It was just like the hug on demand. That was the craziest thing to me. I was like, oh, we just stand around and we give each other hugs. Okay, anyway, so welcome into my in-laws. It's something that we still do to this day. And it will likely be something that we carry on to in our family. So yeah, one time weird. Now it's the norm, baby. It's the norm. It's how Latinos do it. We're just going to roll with it. So this one particular Christmas, my now sister-in-law, Claudia, she has her college friends come over. And one of them brought like kind of like an electronic game called Catchphrase. It's the first time that we've ever played this. But let me tell you, these 21-year-olds had no idea the treasure trove of random information I have stuck in my noggin. Okay, like these college kids come out and be like, oh, we're going to school them. Nah. I will never forget going head to head with Claudia's friend. His name was Bobby. And then revealing at the very last second before the timer went off that I knew Eddie Vedder was the lead singer for Pearl Jam. Booyah! Never doubt me, baby. Underrate me. Let's go. Okay, so there is something I want to make sure that you understand is that all of these strengths, both underrated and not, like resilience, perseverance, patience, and the 4 we're going to cover today can be learned. Let me just be clear. I was never born a patient person. I was never born a determined person. These are learned qualities, and these qualities can be developed and strengthened over time. And a lot of times we're going to be developing them through experiences, self-awareness, and mindset shifts. So let's start off by naming the 4 qualities that I believe are underrated in business owners. And then we're going to dive into each of them and start the process of developing each one. So I'll give them all now, and then we're going to break them down. Number 1 is tolerance for uncertainty. Number 2 is pattern recognition. Number 3 is the ability to lead with empathy. And number 4 is unconventional thinking. Now, if you heard those and you're like, oh, girl, I don't want to listen to this. Like, this is not the thing I want to listen to right now. No problem. But let me just tell you, be underrated. Walk into every room and have people look at you and then look away and carry on in a different conversation. Walk into rooms and not have to floss with name brands, but know that you expensive on the inside. Like, have them overlook you until they announce that you're the keynote speaker. Okay, so let's go over the first underrated skill, which is having the tolerance for uncertainty. We're going to start here, the big guns. Let's not shy away from what I really believe is a game changer. But what does this actually mean? It means having a tolerance for uncertainty in business is being able to make decisions and take action even when the outcome isn't clear. Like, you have to make decisions the same way a lot of other business owners make them, which is shooting in the dark. Just yesterday, I was having a conversation with a group of entrepreneurs, and we were talking about messaging and identifying your ideal client. And I was walking through our framework, and they had said, well, how did you know? Like, how did you know that that was your dream client? And I realized oh, it has never been said. When you start messaging for a new offer, for a new customer, you are shooting in the dark. We all make decisions in uncertainty, but we often don't talk about it. We think that we're the only people doing it and other people are not. No, but when you make more decisions quicker in more uncertainty, you get to the answer faster. Now, it's the ability to handle ambiguity. Like what's ambiguous? When things are not easily understood. It is the ability to handle ambiguity, adapt to changing situations, and make decisions even when you don't have all of the answers, which, let's just be real, in business, do you ever have all of the answers? No. So if you know it's normal, like we're always going to be shooting in the dark, especially in the beginning, there will always be a level of ambiguity. We will never have all of the answers. Well, okay, if we know that this is normal, how do we develop a tolerance for uncertainty? Here are 4 steps. Step number 1 is to develop a tolerance by simply acknowledging and accepting uncertainty. I know, it's like, you're like, wow, Jasmine, you're really deep. Well, might not be, but let me just tell you, simple gets it done. When we acknowledge and accept that uncertainty is a natural part of business and it's totally unavoidable, okay, well then we can move on to other steps. Like in business, there could be months when you're uncertain if you're going to be able to pay yourself or not, but you must trust yourself enough to push past this and then take continuous action towards your vision. There have been plenty of time that I had been uncertain for a prolonged period of time. And the more I spoke to other business owners who were taking massive leaps in their business, they said, that's the norm. Okay, step number 2 for increasing your tolerance for uncertainty is to embrace complexity and ambiguity. Like, instead of being angry, you could look at complexity as an opportunity for growth. In fact, if there is complexity, what we want to do is we want to avoid it like it's an obstacle. And I'm saying, let's look at complexity as an opportunity to learn and flex. And I understand this is a mindset shift. Like you just have to look at the same situation and choose to see it differently. Because when you start thinking about challenges as necessary opportunities to get bigger, better, stronger, faster, well, when you look at it that way, you win. You're able to find joy in the unknown. And I know that sounds crazy, but when you find joy in the unknown, that makes you unstoppable. Like people can't get in your head. You're literally unmessable with when you just simply say, it's complex, I'm gonna figure it out. Step number 3 is to practice decision-making in uncertain scenarios. Now, I know it might seem a little crazy, a little bizarre, but practicing decision-making and critical thinking by putting yourself in a hypothetical business situation can help you feel confident and improve your overall decisions. Like, I have to tell you right now that sometimes I listen to podcasts with Gary Vee and he's doing a coaching session with his 4Ds program. And sometimes I'll pause the podcast and I'll be like, Gary's going to say this. Or if somebody asked me this is how I would answer. And then I press play so that I can hear his answer and I could see if I was close or if I wasn't close or how did he see it that was so different than how I saw it. And I'm like, oh, I'm intrigued. Or oftentimes when I'm watching YouTube videos, still shout out that podcast guest. Her name is Layla Hormozi. I just like the way she thinks because she thinks so opposite of me. I often think of marketing and sales and she thinks so strictly in operations. And I think it's fascinating. And so sometimes I will pause some of her YouTube interviews and I'm thinking, how did she apply this? How can I start flexing that muscle? And so I put myself in business situations to see how close my response is to measure how I'm tracking and thinking with others. Does that sound crazy? I mean, am I admitting this? Is this weird? It totally is weird. I know, but you want to know what? Who cares? So here's an example of a hypothetical scenario for a product-based business. Imagine you own a small bakery, and then suddenly the supplier tells you, oh, there's going to be a delay in delivering a crucial ingredient. Okay, let's say, shout out, it was gluten-free flour, right? So for those of you who don't know, I'm gluten-free. So this is crucial, okay? So you are a bakery owner. You're not going to get your gluten-free flour. And then, of course, you have a large order to fulfill for a local event where half of the order needed gluten-free cupcakes. Now you have to decide whether to buy the ingredient from a more expensive supplier, which would make your profit little to nothing, or risk disappointing the customer. What do you do? I know, it seems silly, but this scenario helps you practice quick decision-making by weighing immediate cost against potential long-term gains. I play this in my mind all the time. Why? Is doing mental reps. I really believe that. That's crazy. It's what do you do for fun? Imagined business scenarios. Okay, now let's do a hypothetical scenario for a service-based business. You're a solopreneur of a graphic design business and you've taken on 2 high-paying clients with tight deadlines that overlap. Both clients are equally as important to you. And let's be real, you need the money, but you're uncertain if you can meet both deadlines without compromising the quality of work. You have to decide whether to negotiate new timelines with one of the clients, and then you could potentially risk the quality of both projects, or hire a contractor to meet the both deadlines, which would take time, and that isn't something that you necessarily have, and it could be hefty and an unpredictable cost. what do? This scenario helps you practice making decisions about client prioritization, managing cash flow, and effective client communication. Okay, so before we move to the fourth step in developing a tolerance for uncertainty, let's review. Remember, we're still in section 1 of underrated qualities that are so banging for being an entrepreneur. Step 1 is to acknowledge and accept uncertainty. Step 2 is to embrace complexity and ambiguity. And step 3 is to practice decision-making in uncertain scenarios. Now, the fourth and final step is to measure comfort with uncertainty. Now, measuring comfort, I know, it's like so esoteric. It's not exactly easy. It's not like analytics or numbers that you can plug into a chart and say, I've improved my comfort by 33%. No, like you have to get real with yourself and how you feel. So how do you do this? Start by taking about, 10 minutes each evening to write down your feelings about the uncertainties you faced that day. And then after you reflect, rate on a scale of 1 to 10 how uncomfortable you felt in each situation. This practice will also help you be intentional and more self-aware how you face uncomfortable situations because you're able to look back at patterns of uncertainty that you now feel, oh, that situation, I proved how certain I could be in uncertain situations. And then you could see, how did I make that through? And then the best part is this journal will be proof. Like come back to this journal in a year and it's proof that you can be uncertain and still find a way through. So I don't come on the podcast and be like, let's pontificate or let's make up scenarios. At the time of this recording, earlier today, I had a really incredible meeting with an opportunity. Now, this opportunity is a rare opportunity. It is an opportunity, and I'm going to leave it pretty ambiguous for now until we fully locked in what it could be. But it's the first time that I have pitched partnering with a different subscription company to create a resource. More on that soon, not right now. But because this is such a huge opportunity, last night, I literally laid down the framework. We had a 30-minute meeting, and I needed to guarantee that at least 25 of that 30 minutes was going to be dedicated on selling them on the vision and pitching them what we wanted to do. So then what I did is I said, I have 25 minutes. Well, I needed to leave around 3 minutes for introductions and, like salutations. It's the first time we've ever been meeting via video. And so then I said, I have 5 minutes to pitch. A total of 8 minutes of 30 was going to be not spent optimizing for the actual pitch. I needed 5 minutes to lay a framework. Do you think I was going to leave that time just to be like, oh, I just come to me in the moment? Maybe if you're good and confident, I don't know, y'all, I needed some practice. So what I did was I literally laid out, if I didn't know what I was being pitched, what would I need to see? What would I need to understand? What miracle must I believe in? And when I say miracle, I always look at this from like a business perspective. What must I believe to be true? Even in the impossibility of it, I need to believe that this is true in order for me to be sold on this solution. And so I said, I need to remove all questions. I need to add clarity. I need to do a walkthrough of a value add. I need to cast the vision and I need to connect the dots before we even get to the pitch. And so I had everything set up in my mind. I just wrote down notes. And so then 10 minutes before the call today, I went through, I queued up all of my tabs in Chrome to walk through demos, examples, vision casting of what we would need from a user perspective. And at the end of the call, now JD was on the other side of the door. He was with Luna. So my office is adjacent to our bedroom. And so he took Luna into the bedroom. We shut my office doors. And so he had his ear pressed against the door. And then right when we got off Zoom, he opened the door. He came in, high-fived me. And it wasn't like an after-school special high-five. It was cool. He was cool. It was cool. He was just like, got it. Good job. Good job. And so that feels really good. But what did I do yesterday? I just wrote down how I was feeling. But it's not enough for me to sit in the uncertainty. I actually had to say, this is going to be your best attempt. And if they say no, hey, at least I know I planned and I put my best foot forward. Okay, so I know that was a lot, but I want you to be able to build the business of your dreams. And I know for a fact that building tolerance for uncertainty, even though it's underrated, is going to be really, really good in your favor. Now, that was just the first one of 4. Y'all, buckle up. We out here breaking things down with frameworks, giving you tools, getting you to action. So the first underrated strength was building your tolerance for uncertainty. Now let's move on to the second underrated strength, and that, I believe, is pattern recognition. Y'all, I am telling you. It's like, in that scene, that movie, it was very popular. I see dead people. I don't see dead people. Thank God. Shout out. I want to say it's I see patterns. And because I could see a pattern, I know how to create predictive behaviors in our business. Okay. So what does it actually mean in business? And why is this important? Pattern recognition is the ability to recognize recurring trends, data, organizational situations, consumer behavior. Oh, I love this one too from an operational perspective. It's when I do interviews, because I've done so many interviews for team members, I can recognize patterns and say, oh, this other team member who exhibits these qualities interviewed the same way. I think I'm going to be closer in this interview to hiring somebody who's already been proven in that quality on our team. So patterns, and it helps you make informed decisions to identify possibilities for growth. And I just want to take a second because it's awareness. By being aware and recognizing these patterns, you can develop systems and you can optimize your operations. So here's an example of how pattern recognition can improve the business of our small business bakery. Our small bakery owner? Okay, great. See, I love me some examples. I love me some product-based. I love me some service-based. I really want to start extending these examples so you could see how underrated patterns can serve people in different ways. So let's just say this bakery owner, she's observing a consistent pattern of increased customer traffic during both Saturday and Sunday mornings, and then a decline in weekend nights, which is unexpected in the food industry, right? She's a bakery. She's why is it low-key boring on weekend nights when other places are popping? But by recognizing this pattern, and then she was doing a little bit of analyzing, she realizes that the church across the street holds a Saturday Bible study along with their regular Sunday morning services in the morning. And with this pattern, she decides, okay, I'm going to adjust my opening hours. So she's going to start opening her hours 6 a.m. before those services because she will be the only option for breakfast and coffee open that early on a weekend. Number 2, her customers are likely to take their goodies and coffees to church. Some churches don't allow coffee. Come on. Do you not love God? I need some caffeine. And then 3, she can be more efficient for the normal crowd if they're not all popping in after church all at the same time. All because she noticed a pattern and took time to analyze and make adjustments. So let's go through an example, and we're going to do this again with that graphic designer, that solopreneur we talked about. Okay, our design solopreneur notices a pattern in his project requests. He consistently receives a crazy amount of requests for logo designs in the first quarter of the year. So recognizing this pattern, he prepares a limited time offer that upsells logos into a whole new brand identity package. By bundling his services, he, number 1, increases his revenue from each client. Number 2, provides businesses with comprehensive brand refresh that's going to improve their marketing efforts. And 3, gets more of his services, and not just logos, known and in front of more potential clients. Now, okay, cool. Bakery owner, agency owner, you might be thinking, okay, all that sounds great. More sales, more clients, happier clients, more efficient business. But how do I get better at recognizing patterns? Good question. Okay, I have 2 tips for you. Tip number 1 to improving pattern recognition is to get curious. I love asking why. As a child, I would ask my mom why. And when you ask your mom why, I thought I was precocious, and she sure is all good. I thought I was annoying, but it was a question that I can ask after an answer. So why is the sky blue? My mom would say, oh, because God made it that way. But why? Because it's God. Okay, but why did God, you know what I'm saying? It's come on, girl, come on. Okay, get curious about why things are going the way that they are. Why are you busier during quarter 1? Why are gluten-free cookies selling out by your North location by noon? Why are your team members frustrated when it comes to collaborative projects? When you ask questions, you start to uncover patterns. Tip number 2 is to regularly review data and information. Okay, this sounds boring. And I used to hate data. Now I love it. Give me some numbers and I will project. I love some numbers, things like sales, customer feedback, anything that's analytical. I want you to look for recurring themes or trends in that information. And I also want to encourage you to join a community of business owners who are in similar seasons or industries, because then you could share observations and gain new perspectives. I love being part of groups or masterminds that they're maybe a year or 2 ahead of mine, or maybe they have a younger business, but it's a bigger business. So I get to almost use it as a forecasting mechanism of what is coming my way. Okay, now let's move on to the 3rd underrated strength to have as a business owner, which is the ability to lead with empathy. First off, leading with empathy does not mean that you have to be a pushover, a people pleaser, give away free products or services, get everybody to like you. Not at all. Leading with empathy means that you're truly understanding and caring about the people that you work with. It creates positive team culture, and you want everybody to feel valued. And best part, when you are leading with empathy, you're motivating people. Empathy can increase your sales. Being empathetic can connect you with your ideal client on a personal level. You could address their personal needs. Leading with empathy builds trust. It also helps them realize that you're about building real relationships, not just closing deals. Okay, so I know that sounds all warm and fuzzy, and I know that it sounds like the back of a Hallmark card. Or the back of a Hallmark card? No, that's just the price. The middle of a Hallmark card. It sounds like the Hallmark card when you open it. Okay, I'm going to get somebody who's like, so the back of the Hallmark card is just the trademark. Okay. Let's get a real example. Let's use our baker as an example of how we can improve internally with her team when she's leading with empathy. Okay. Imagine the owner of the small bakery that we've been trying to refer to, okay? She notices that one of her employees, who's typically earlier, right on time, has been consistently late and less energetic. Concerned about the potential impact on the team and the customer service, the owner decides to have a one-on-one conversation. Now, during that conversation, the employee reveals that car troubles have left her family. Her family, there's 5 of them, and they only have 1 car now, which has been causing stress, and she's still navigating like carpooling schedules and figuring it out with her partner. And the owner is being empathetic and asks her, hey, what can I do to make this transition easier for you and your family? After the conversation, they come up with a solution that the employee can focus on inventory, ordering, and prep work, which is flexible hours instead of running the cash register, which is only during open operating hours. And that shift, if you're working the cash register, do not be late. Okay, so you might be thinking, how does this form of empathy improve the organization and not just the employee? 1, the company doesn't lose a long-term employee over a short-term problem. Number 2, the employee will naturally feel the desire to reciprocate simply by doing the best job she can because, hey, her job and then her owner expressing appreciation, like that meant something to her. And 3, the owner feels a sense of ease knowing that she helps somebody she cares about without sacrificing the effectiveness of the operations. Okay, so now, when you've using these 2 examples, one of the bakery owner, now let's do an example of how leading with empathy can improve your sales. And we're going to go back to our graphic designer example. Let's say he lands a new design client, and the client was hesitant to purchase because they've been burned in the past by another designer. Just think about this. Put yourselves in the shoes of your client. This graphic designer, he knows his client's been burned, so everything they look at is with skepticism. Now, the client said that the last designer didn't complete their work on time, and it wasn't the quality they'd expected. Now, what are we doing? Empathetic leader, empathetic business owner. Understanding the client's concerns, the designer takes extra care to establish clear communication, provide regular project updates, and ensure the client's feedback is not only heard, but incorporated into the design. Through this really empathetic approach, the client's confidence in the designer grows slowly over time. And then the client feels valued and appreciated, and then as a result, they show interest in future collaborations. The designer's empathy rebuilds the client's trust in design services and paves the way for, this really great long-term mutual beneficial working relationship. In this way, leading with empathy not only improves sales, but also enhances client retention and loyalty. Okay. So you think, well, that's great for the bakery owner and that's great for the agency owner. But what about me? Great, I'm glad you asked. Let's talk about 3 ways that you could start leading with empathy, and they're all very short and simple. Number 1, active listening and understanding. Active listening to team members and clients. What you want to do is pay attention to their concerns. What are their perspectives? What are they thinking and feeling? Sometimes as a leader, your job is to simply hold space. I know that when I talk with an employee and they're going through something in their personal life, there's nothing I can do to fix it. But sometimes it feels really good just to have somebody in the organization understand what they're going on, like what's going on, and then holding space for that and just saying, I see you and I appreciate the way that you're showing up despite all the pain that you're going through at home. You can set time aside, even if it's just 10 minutes. Just check in. See how they're really doing. Number 2, how you can start leading with empathy is to foster a supportive environment. When you can create a work culture that values communication, that values respect and inclusivity, by doing so, what you're going to do is you're going to encourage team members, share your thoughts without fear or judgment. That's how you lead with empathy. Empathy is not just feeling bad or feeling sad about a situation. Empathy is saying, I too feel or see your perspective. How do we get to a mutual understanding? Number 3, leading by example. Demonstrate empathy in your own actions. Show that you genuinely care for team members and clients. I want you to be approachable and responsive to their needs. One of our team members at the time of this recording is pregnant, not with 1 little human, but 2. Imagine how hard it is to have a toddler carrying 2 other babies in her belly and producing high quality caliber work. Every so often, you just want to be seen and heard, right? So it was really cool for the social care team to send her a maternity gift right in time for her baby shower at home. Sure, we're a virtual team. We couldn't be there with her, but just by letting her know, hey, we see you, job well done, bring these beautiful little babies into the world and do right by them, mama. Okay, That's just a little bit of empathy. Okay, so before we move on to the fourth underrated strength you should develop as a business owner, let's review the three we've talked about. Number 1 is tolerance for uncertainty. Number 2 is pattern recognition. Number 3 is the ability to lead with empathy. And number 4 is unconventional thinking. Okay, save the best for last. This is where most people would be like, you're really weird. Why do you think that way? Why do you practice that way? Why do you dream that way? Good, it's underrated. Thinking outside of the box leads to innovation and creativity. It allows you to really identify unique solutions to challenges. And, it allows you to stand out amongst others in your industry. Let me tell you, when you do things different, people think you're crazy until it works. And then they say you're a genius. Like having a mindset of how can I solve this problem differently? It's going to help you adapt to changing circumstances. You're going to find new opportunities. You're going to be leading business growth and success, not because you're brilliant, but because you've had constraints and you have to figure it out differently. Okay, so let's go back and use our example. We're going to revisit our baker and see how thinking outside of the box can lead to sustainable growth. Our small bakery owner, she could use unconventional thinking to boost sales with bridal packages. She can consider offering a bundled baking goods price for events leading up to the wedding. Okay, are you following me here? Right? Somebody comes in, they say, I need a wedding cake. She thinks, how can I add more to this ticket? Atta girl, that's what we do. Maybe she could add cupcakes for the bridal shower, cookies for the bachelorette party, pies for the rehearsal dinner, and of course, cake and cookies for the wedding. I mean, come on. By doing this, she's eliminating unnecessary decisions for the bride, increasing her guest average and exposure by quite a lot. Now, to do this, she networks with local wedding planners and photographers for future collaborations and referrals. And what do we say to her for being a little unconventional? Atta girl, job well done. Now, let's go back to our graphic designer. Let's say our graphic designer noticed that businesses aren't coming to him for smaller packages, as much anymore since the rise of softwares like Canva and AI. And he could say, oh, my job is going away. The industry's shrinking. What am I going to do? No, not him. He's going to be innovative. Now, marketing teams can easily create simple graphics in-house. So his competition is now other in-house designers. So what can he do? How could he make up this revenue stream for the low-ticket offers? He uses unconventional thinking by offering low-ticket educational workshops for marketing teams and selling into a low-ticket monthly subscription that provides 30 customizable graphics every month. This way, business owners have a sharper, more professional looking kind of visual graphics that don't look like everybody else. Their marketing team is saving time. They're fully customizable for that business, and the graphic designer is able to make up a revenue stream. Let's go, son. Good job. Good job for making a lemon martini out of lemons. You know what I'm saying? I know it should be lemonade, but we got time for that. Okay, so here are 3 ways to practice and develop unconventional thinking in business. Number 1, let go of how things have always been done. Let's be open to new ideas and solutions. Heck, why not? Let's be open to a new business model. And you're like, shake up what I already have? Yeah, absolutely. What got you to where you are today most likely won't be what gets you to the next place in your business. Number 2, ask what if questions. What if we were able to make up that revenue stream in just one day? What if we added on educational opportunities? What if we did a lifetime sale as a revenue generator instead of going to venture capital? What if we created a custom offer just for this niche? When you ask yourself, what if, you are literally opening the door to creative and unconventional possibilities. What if? Can we not give ourselves the permission to dwell in that? Number 3, embrace failure as a learning opportunity. Understand that not all unconventional ideas will succeed. That is okay. That is normal. When you do things that are unconventional, you should assume they will not work out. And then you just do a little end zone dance when they do. Now, these failures, and they're not even failures. I wouldn't even call them failures. They're lessons. They're learning experiences. You're getting a cheat code to getting what you want faster if you choose to look at it that way. I want you to analyze what worked and then what didn't work. And then I want you to use that knowledge to refine future unconventional approaches. But don't stop thinking outside of the box because just it didn't work. Like I've had so many ideas that didn't work. And guess what? Each one that didn't work made the idea that did work a heck of a lot stronger. Okay, so I want to take a moment just to review everything we've covered. I know we've gone through a lot, but I love this stuff. Like I literally dwell in this, like to invite you into my crazy little mind of a world makes me feel less alone and be like, do you like to party how I like to party? Let's go. Okay, 4 underrated skills to develop in entrepreneurship. Number 1, developing your tolerance for uncertainty. This means being okay and pursuing without knowing the specific action or the outcome. Number 2, pattern recognition. Noticing trends and behaviors to make informed decisions and identify possibilities for growth. Number 3, the ability to lead with empathy. Remember, this does not mean that you're a pushover. It just means that understanding and caring about the people you work with, both internally and externally, will make them feel known and seen and become evangelists of you because you are meeting them where they are and putting yourself in their situation. They will never forget you did that for them. Number 4, unconventional thinking. Allowing yourself to explore unconventional options and solutions to grow your business, and you're not attached to the outcome. We're saying we're doing things weird and we're doing things different, and it's beautiful with what we learn, and it's even more beautiful when we succeed. Y'all, I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you would be so kind to leave a review. Just today, a woman by the name of Tracy, she said, you can call me Auntie Tracy. Yes, I will, Auntie Tracy. She said, Jasmine, your interview with Marcus Murphy really touched me. I just had to go through and leave a review. I've been listening for a long time. And you want to know what I did? I sent Auntie Tracy a voice memo. I was like, girl, thank you. It's one by one. It's one by one. And my job is to provide so much value without paid ads. Notice, let's go. Notice there hasn't been a single ad on this. Okay, let's sit in this place. A place of gratitude for you, a place of grace that you have decided that today is not the day that you quit, a place of satisfaction that while you might not be where you all want to be today, you are far more farther than you were last year or 3 years ago. And so where we are here on this podcast is we share and we give in direct proportion to everything that we receive. And so I have received so much, and I just am dedicated to giving back to you, to your business, to your family, to your financial legacy. It is an honor and a privilege to create this show. Thank you so much for listening, and I wish you all the best.